It's the Auto Expo, and it wouldn't be complete for me unless I caught up with Dr. Pawan Goenka, the president of the automotive and farm equipment sectors at Mahindra & Mahindra. I mean that, Pawan. It's good to see you always, but the Expo is a special time.
Always good to talk to you, Sid.
Let's talk about the SUVs first up, because when you think of the crowds who are going to come in, that's the one sweet spot they always look for, and you've always had that advantage. Your portfolio, we've talked about it for months now, about how just the demand has been so strong in the market. Yes, the last few months it's not perhaps been as strong as before. How do you see things panning out in terms of the UV space and SUVs in particular?
Well, let me first acknowledge that even when I stand here on top of the steps and see what all we have, I do get somewhat amazed at the expanse of our business, from two-wheeler to SUVs to trucks and electric vehicles, hybrid vehicle, all of these things together. And I don't think there's any manufacturer in the world that has that kind of expanse. You could call it crazy if you wish, but we believe that there is a method in the madness, because I think we are able to utilize a lot of synergy across these businesses and present a good value product for our consumers. Now, if I look at the UV space right now, clearly the UVs have had a poor year, just like anybody else in auto industry. But more specifically for Mahindra, the traditional Mahindra UVs, which are the larger UVs, frame-based UVs, have degrown even more in preference to the newer UV breed that has come out, which is the compact SUVs, in some cases sub-4 meter SUVs. And I think that's a sign of things to come. This is not something that Mahindra can wish away. That's a sign of things to come, because consumers are finding a lot of value in it. A lot of new consumers from hatchback, sedan area are coming into the compact SUV. And Mahindra clearly will want to be a strong player in that area, which is right now somewhat of a gap for us.
Well, you've talked about that new compact platform that you're working on. SsangYong will share that as well. How urgent is it for you to get it to market? I mean, I of course understand that everybody will want you to do it yesterday from a consumer perspective, but from a business perspective?
It's very urgent. It's very important, because clearly we are, in spite of doing so many different things, we are SUV people. And for SUV person not to be in what is the fastest growing sub-segment of SUV is not possible. We have to be in that segment. And we know that we will have products, at least 2 platforms that we will launch in that segment next year, which will compete extremely well in that area. And we have, as usual, sort of the understanding of what the Indian consumer wants, and hopefully we'll be able to create some value that will be unique to Mahindra products. So we are excitedly looking forward to those launches, which will let us participate in the fast-growing part of the UV segment. In fact, if you were to divide UV segment into UV1 and UV2, UV1 being the traditional UV, that segment has degrown this year by 25-30%, whereas the UV2 has actually grown segment. There is a consumer preference towards the compact UVs.
Yeah, and then of course, as you mentioned, this is happening at a time when otherwise there's an overall slowdown that's gripped the market. The 2 products you speak of for next year, it's not just you who's excited. I'm excited too, by the way, because it'll be nice to see that. The fact that you're launching them next year means they're already far into their development cycle, clearly.
Yes, of course, they are far into development. In fact, both of these products right now we have prototypes running, and it takes a year and a half, even after that, to perfect everything, get the plant ready. Work is started on the plant, and hopefully we will be able to launch this as per the time plan that we have. As I said earlier, that it will be in 2015 calendar year.
I need to sneak into Chakan at some point.
Sorry?
I said I need to sneak into Chakan at some point, yes, if you've already got them running. But these are both Mahindra branded products, or would they be
these are both Mahindra branded.
And what happens with that platform for SsangYong?
SsangYong platform is X100. The SsangYong vehicle will get launched in the first quarter of 2015. The Mahindra vehicle coming out of that platform will be much later. The 2 platforms that I'm talking about right now are not out of SsangYong platform. These are Mahindra platforms.
But will SsangYong want to share any of that, or not?
No, they don't fit into the SsangYong.
What's the focus for you when you're talking about investing into these 2 new products for starters, and then of course future products as well? On vehicle attribute itself, is it drivability? Is it sophistication of design and interiors? Because those are the things people are now expecting.
Our focus will be, first of all, we are creating our own unique design language. Okay, and the design language is working reasonably well in product like XUV, though it didn't do well in Xylo, so we are changing that. So a focus on design much higher than what we have had so far. The second part is interior space is something that we always try and do better than what you will see in most of the cars. So how do we get the right combination of design and interior space with the drivability, with the fuel efficiency?
And that's definitely worked for you. And in the case of the XUV in particular, the Cheetah, I know it's worked really well. Talk us through what's your outlook in terms of course, we have the elections coming up. But do you think that something will give around that time, maybe just after the elections, once things settle down, in terms of either policy or just the market coming back, some confidence coming back?
Yeah, it's funny. Our view is that independent of what happens in election, post-election there will be a higher interest in getting back to doing things that one normally would do. Right now everybody is so consumed with election. These elections probably have gotten more interest from everybody than anything in the past because of the various things that we all are aware of. And therefore everybody kind of saying, okay, I'm watching TV right now, I have no time to go and buy a car, in a manner of speaking. So we believe that after the election there will be back to normal life, and that will hopefully bring more people to our showrooms and more buying. Because I do not believe that there is a fundamental reason why car sales should have been low in the previous year. Yes, of course there is inflation, of course there are interest rates, of course there is petrol and diesel price increase, all of those things are there. But even then, if you were to do calculations, affordability of a vehicle is no worse today than what it was a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago, right? And people
and the
are
demand is there.
I'm sorry?
The demand is there.
Demand is very much there. So we have certainly not reached the saturation level in the Indian market. There's a lot of pent-up demand, and therefore there is no fundamental reason. There is no analyst who can come up with a reason that this is why we're not selling car, and therefore I think it has to turn around.
They've been trying, the analysts have been trying to come up with a reason. Do you think that what you mentioned about the post-election phase will apply to commercial vehicles as well?
No, commercial vehicles I think is a little bit more complex. What I said applies to passenger vehicle because that's driven more by sentiments. The commercial vehicle is driven by not having business. And the operators of commercial vehicle right now, the current fleet also is not fully engaged. In fact, there is so much NPA in the business right now that people who are buying cars are not able, trucks are really not able to get the full worth out of it. So that will depend on the economic activity. So if the infrastructure projects that are beginning to open up in a big way, if mining restarts, if the freight movements restarts, if the factories start buzzing, so then I think that will lead to commercial vehicle turnaround. So there it's not just about election or sentiment. That has to be some real change that happens in terms of freight movement.
While of course I don't expect you to be productionizing the Halo concept anytime soon, what it indicates in terms of your interest in the electric mobility space, and of course with the Formula E car and what you're doing with Mahindra Reva, do we expect significant investments or any investments at least in this year that will go specifically to that business?
Yes, definitely. In fact, even though, as you know, E2O has not lived up to our expectations in terms of volumes, but that does not slow us down in terms of our commitment to the electric vehicle space in terms of technology and developing new products. Halo is a concept car right now, but with a full intent to develop this as a commercial product. So we are going to start working on it real soon. We have the Burrito that is almost ready with electric vehicle. We have the Maximo that is almost ready with electric vehicle. We had shown the fast charge station today. So there's a lot of work that's going on in electric vehicle space. I just hope that slowly India warms up to the idea of electric vehicle. The consumers also will take some time to get used to a different way of using a vehicle. And we definitely need some support from the government of India in terms of making it happen. But I won't say it's only that. It is also the consumer to become comfortable with this whole concept.
But what sort of investments are we talking?
Probably this vehicle will probably take 250-300 crores.
All right. No, but the rest of the ecosystem that you're talking about this year, you would be spending
of that order, more. So just double that.
Double that.
Yeah.
And what about bikes? Because that's the other space on two-wheelers.
Not right now.
But we've seen you having a nice resurgence with the Centuro. So where do you take that? Because there's a lot of energy that's built up around the brand now. You're getting some good volumes from certain pockets. Will it be focusing on the current products right now for you in terms of taking the two-wheeler business forward?
No, so we have new product coming up. So we will have, I would say, 3 products launched during coming financial year. So we have to, while continue the momentum of Centuro, and like we showed the disc brake version today, we will have more versions of Centuro coming up. Right now we start with one variant, we have launched the second variant, we'll have probably 2 more variants, so we'll have 4 variants of Centuro. But that will still total up to 35,000 vehicles a month. That cannot make a two-wheeler company. We have to have 2 such Centuros side by side, and that's what we're working on.
But it'll be always scooters and bikes. You'll keep the portfolio strong on that front. At what point do you see it breaking into the big time?
After we have 3 hit products.
So you're not putting a time frame on it, you're putting a product cycle on it. You think that's
1 more year.
Well, that's not very far then.
I think so.
Besides everything we've spoken about, what else is keeping you busy this year?
Well, basically, there's a lot happening. The technology is moving rapidly. Sometimes the customer does not realize how quickly technology is moving in the auto space, and one sees the same 4 wheels, the same steering wheel, the same two rows of seats. But a lot is changing inside the car. Our biggest concern is that how do we keep up with technology, rapid changing technology that's happening globally, universally. The regulations are coming in, customer requirements are coming in, and therefore one of the very major steps that we have taken is to set up a technology center outside India, in North America, in Detroit to be precise, which has now started ramping up and will start developing vehicles for us from there. We are also looking at setting up a technology center in Europe somewhere. Most likely, right now we're zeroing in on UK, but we will set up a technology center in Europe somewhere, which will also help us to bring in the technical expert from Europe and India and USA into our Indian product development.
What's the capex you're setting out for yourself for this?
See, fortunately, in spite of slowdown, our financial performance has not been severely affected, and therefore we do have financial resources to invest for the future, and we have not cut down anything that we had planned in terms of the financial investment, and we're still counting on 10,000 crore investment in the next 3 years.
You talk about global regulations and your vehicles being, or having a more global outlook now from here on. Safety becomes a big criteria, and of course we've had the global NCAP tests coming into India. Hopefully we'll have an India NCAP soon, but that notwithstanding, what is your own individual or internal thought on this?
See, first of all, let me say that I would like to thank NDTV and Global NCAP for bringing sensitivity to safety through the work that has happened in the last couple of weeks, and I think it's a lot of people have suddenly woken up to safety. Safety undoubtedly is important, no doubt about it. It's not just about the safety of the car, but it is road safety that is important. And I believe that there are 4 stakeholders who have to work together to make the Indian roads safer. And cars are part of the road. So I will not take car independent of road. And these 4 are the OEMs, the suppliers, the government, and the consumer themselves. All 4 have to work together to make it happen. Now, there is certain Indian regulation right now, and obviously every vehicle sold in India conforms to those regulations, including Mahindra or anybody else for that matter. And almost everybody is offering products beyond the regulation as variant, typically high-end variant. What we need to work on as OEMs is to make those airbag and ABS kind of features available at the entry-level variant, and that's what Mahindra has now decided internally, that as we move forward, all new vehicles that we launch, even at the entry-level variant, we will make an option available for airbags and ABS. That means one doesn't have to get leather seats and cruise control and all the other things that you don't want if you just care for safety. But yes, you will have to spend money for safety as a consumer. The airbags do cost money, the ABS does cost money. Unfortunately, in India, the cost is higher than what it is in Europe. And that's where suppliers come in. They have to work together closely to see how do we bring down the cost of putting an airbag in the car, cost of putting ABS in the car at a much lower level than what it is today, comparable to and hopefully even cheaper to what it might be in Europe today. The government has to bring in the regulations a little faster. They're working with the OEMs to do that. But more importantly, the testing infrastructure is not there. We have to bring that in there, and finally the consumer has to be willing to pay for safety, because after all it's his or her own life that one is talking about. But there's also a very important aspect of the road discipline and the driving discipline. You can make the cars as safe as you want, but if somebody is going to walk in front of your car, it's very little that you can do about it. Everybody has to work together to make the Indian roads safer. And there is a need for it, because India probably has more road fatalities on a per kilometer basis than any other country in the world. and therefore it's very important. And I again thank you for bringing that awareness all of a sudden. I hope that it doesn't die down, and there's some kind of movement we start on how to make Indian roads safer.
Well, if OEMs like yourself say the things that you just said, and of course we'll never give up on talking about it either, hopefully that message gets out. So I really appreciate what you just said about future vehicles from your portfolio, and that's a great initiative. So thank you for that. And thank you for joining us as well.
Good to talk to you.
Always a pleasure. Joining us right now, we have a very special guest. Mr. Gilles is the chairman for the Asia Pacific region at Renault. Great to have you with us.
Thank you.
And it's good to see you again right here with us as well. First up, the Auto Expo is of course a great reason for you to be here. But so is the Indian market. I mean, the things that we spoke about a few years ago have now happened for Renault in India. How satisfied are you with the current position?
First, we remain very humble, but it's fair to say that 2 years ago we were virtually nobody in India, and now we are the 9th brand in India, 2.6% market share, the first European brand, and I guess we have introduced 5 new products in India, and out of which the Duster has been particularly praised by the Indian customer. We received an avalanche of awards, so I would say that it's fair to say the team has been doing a good job, but obviously it does mean that we need to do deeper, we have to work harder in order to make sure that we maintain the good satisfaction for those customers.
In fact, the Duster was the NDTV car of the year, our car of the year.
Indeed.
As well. So,
thank you for that.
And you know I'm going to ask you the question about future products which are closer than what we are seeing with the Quid. So, so in the immediate future, I won't ask you what's the next car you're launching, but what's the next segment that you think you should be in?
So what we have announced last year, and we still obviously very much following the roadmap we have defined, is leveraging what we call a modular family, a concept of modular family, CMF. We're introducing a CMF-A concept. And the objective is to target some growing segments in economies like India, where you have a lot of middle-class people who are now reaching the point to purchase personal mobility for cars. So to give you a very concrete example, the Renault lineup in India started with the first price of the Renault Pulse. It's about 4.5 lakh. Below 4.5 lakh, you still have about 50% of the Indian market. So it means that today, even if we enjoy 2.6% market share, we are not able to speak to 1 out of 2 Indian customers. If you want to grow in the market, at some point of time, we'll have to find a way to deeper in the Indian market. And this is what our CMFA strategy is about, is to be able to promote an offer which is more competitive in price, but giving absolute value on automotive value for those customers, because the Indian customer is very choosy. He wants a car which looks like a car with appropriate feature and with a very good value for money. And I guess this is one of the key lessons that we have been able to learn with the Duster. Duster gave a very strong value for money, and the Indian customer reacted very positively.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You got it just right with that car. The point about the CMFA, I remember Mr. Goen talking about this as well, is well taken. The question, of course, is how soon?
So what we said it will be 2015. 2015 is next year now.
Now it's next year,
we maintain our commitment that it would happen in 2015. So stay tuned, a little bit more time and patience, and we are going to be coming back with a clear announcement on this one due time.
When you look at a space like that, you mentioned it's 50% of the market, maybe a little higher than that. It's a different kind of an expectation, of course, from the consumer. Yes, value becomes a very big playing card, but having said that, what's going to be the differentiator for you? Because it is, of course, the most cluttered part of the market in terms of a lot of players already being there. And there's a certain expectation people have from European brands in terms of, let's say, safety or build quality. What's going to be the differentiator for you?
So what we train and what we intend to bring to the Indian market is definitively part of our DNA. Part of our DNA is our European flavor, a certain emotional connection with the styling. As you can see, we are presenting very bold styling, and once again, Quid concept is featuring this type of very bold styling. But as well, we are very much aware that 50% of the Indian population is below age of 25. Means a very young population, very connected population. So we intend to bring more and more connectivity in our product, more and more feature, and more styling, and different styling, more human-centric styling to our cars.
Now, when it comes to the manufacturing end, of course, it's an alliance plant, and we've seen the success of that working really well for both Nissan and Renault. Now Datsun steps into it as well. In terms of future capacity and in terms of future investment specific to Renault, not just in manufacturing but in other areas as well, what's your position?
As you know, we have already in the ground here in India, at the level of the alliance, close to 500,000 unit capacity, 480,000 exactly, or we have 12,000 people working in the plant on common engineering. So I mean, we have done a great deal of investment. Now obviously we are going to keep on investing with new products, and obviously what we say, for instance, CMFA is at the heart of the next wave of investment. So the fact that we are investing not only in resources, in hard investment for developing our presence in India, but on top of that, as you can see, in an emotional connection, presenting a world car premiere here in New Delhi, mean that we are now closing the whole circle of contact point with Indian customer. And what we want to give is to deliver a very strong reassuring message that Renault is here for good, and you can trust. It's a trustworthy brand. We have been acclaimed by a number of awards. Once again, it's very important because when we came with a new offer like coming derived from the CMFA concept, it's very important that the Indian customer consider Renault as a trustworthy brand.
This is why you also had Manufacturer of the Year at our awards last year.
Indeed.
So I agree with you on that. When you are closer to the introduction of CMFA, would you be announcing a fresh investment figure, or is this just ongoing?
When we come on closer to CMFA, we will make a full announcement and we will invite you, obviously.
One last thing. You have a very vast region that you're looking at, and globally now the next important step for Renault is China.
Indeed.
What's the priority level going to be for India in the next few years?
It's very clear. India is going to drive the growth in the coming years, especially 2015, 2016, significant growth would come from India. There is no doubt. China, the growth will happen after our first plant is completed. That will take in 2016 onward. So for the time being, our focus, our clear focus, is to boost our presence in India.
We wish you the very best with that. Thank you for speaking to us today.
Thank you very much.
And I hope to see you back in India soon.
Indeed. Stay tuned. Thank you very much.